So let's jump into these keys. Thank you guys for being here. All right, today's keynotes. Today's key, the main key of today is try an ice bath if you haven't. Try an ice bath if you haven't. So I know it's very original of me to recommend ice baths. You know, very podcast, very bro-ish of me to recommend such a thing. But I put at the end, if you haven't. So if you already know about ice baths, you know about all the benefits, great. I'm assuming, this key is going to apply to someone who hasn't. So if let's say you've never even heard of an ice bath. An ice bath is when you get, this is going to be groundbreaking information right here, but it's where you get a bunch of ice and you put it in the bath and then you get inside. And you want it to be really cold. I actually just took an ice bath right before I did the podcast. So if you're curious why I'm feeling great, it's because the ice bath. That's really the short answer on why should you try an ice bath. It makes you feel amazing. It sucks getting in. It sucks for about 10 seconds getting in, and then it's kind of a benefit. But yeah, if you've never tried one, they've become very popularized lately, these ice baths. Everyone's talking about them over the last few years. People are buying them, putting them out on their freaking front stoop. I was in a neighborhood the other day and some guy was on his front porch in an ice bath. It's kind of weird, but there's some really positive health benefits to ice baths. You build a little bit of mental resiliency by doing an ice bath. And the big thing for me is I just feel amazing when I get out. Man, I feel like I can do anything I set my mind to. So that's why you should try it. It's a great feeling. So all you got to do, get some ice out of your freezer. You don't have to buy an ice bath. Just get some ice out of your freezer. Go throw it in the tub. Put on the coldest setting of water. Let that thing fill up. You want to get it to about anything between like 45 and 55 degrees is fine. I think I had that sitting at about 49.8 today. So it was cold, so let's jump into the shelf. No hesitation. Here we go. What could it be? Boom. And that's, you already know what that is. That is a fine pilsner beer. And they call these Miller Lights. So we're just going to tap into it real quick. Here we go. Yep. And I'm feeling much better after that ice bath. I actually recorded this podcast earlier today. And I just scrapped the whole thing. I said, man, I can be better. I said, I've got more in me. So I'm re-recording it. And I'm glad because I feel much better. The ice bath really did help. So I'm not just making up that you should try an ice bath. Really, seriously. After you watch this video, go to your freezer, get the ice in, and get in the water. That's cold. The rule for today's podcast is modulate your social media. Modulate your social media. Now, what's that mean? It means to adjust. It means to alter. It means to regulate. So another way to phrase this is regulate your social media. Now, some of you out there are going, what? Why would I have to regulate my own social media? Well, here's the thing, buddy. Social media is a double-edged sword. There's good and bad about it. Social media is not all good. Do not be naive and assume that social media is a good thing in your life. Actually, there's been some studies done by smart people, and they found that social media is actually bad for you. It's actually making people worse off. It's actually making them more negative and making them compare themselves unnecessarily to other people. It's making them have FOMO, which is fear of missing out. It's distracting them from getting real things accomplished. It's lowering self-esteem because all they do is compare themselves to these fictional characters on social media, these clowns, these literal clowns on social media. that literally pretend and act for clicks, you know? The most inauthentic stuff. I have always had a thing with social media where I'm like, it's always kind of negatively affected me. And I don't really know what that is, but it's always kind of rubbed me the wrong way, this social media. There's been times in my life where it causes me to feel insufficient. There's times where the formatting of it causes me not to like the people that I view on it. You know, close friends, old friends, new friends. It's made me feel like I don't know certain people sometimes. So, and it was back in, I started writing this article like in 2016. I think I got it published by a fairly large publication on Medium back in, I think two years later, so 2018. But I wrote this thing about social media and how it very early on I was recognizing how it was a negative thing in my life. And I decided to take this break from it. I thought I was, back then it was somewhat uncommon. But I was having ideas back in 2016 about social media being a dangerous and potentially affecting mental health in a negative way. And I was pretty early on to this because at the time there wasn't a lot of other people picking up on that same notion. There wasn't a lot of people pointing it out. Excuse me. Anyways, the rule is modulate your social media. Your attention is the most valuable thing you have. What you give attention to is really important. It's dangerous to let an algorithm decide what you think. It's very dangerous. It's not, I don't get recommended the best things on when I'm on social media, like Instagram. If I go to that For You page, we cannot venture into that For You page because you guys know why. You guys already know why. It's not good for your mental health. They're manipulative. They're literally manipulating us to stay engaged on the videos now. I've noticed. It's literally like they'll do anything nowadays. They'll do anything nowadays to get you to watch the whole video. They'll put on the caption, watch till the end. You watch till the end, nothing happened. You wasted 18 seconds of your life you'll never get back. So anyways, you guys get the point. That's a long rule, but, regulate your own social media. Just regulate it. Thank you guys for being here. We're going to take a little intermission. You guys like an intermission? I'm getting out of breath. That's why I wanted to take this intermission. So I don't even have to say anything. I'm just going to catch my breath. I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone sometimes when I make these podcasts. I get kind of, I disassociate sometimes from reality. Sorry. All right, so the quote for today is going to come from this book. And if you don't know, this is a classic, they call it. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Mr. Dale Carnegie. And I first read this back in 2016. But let's read this quote. And let's see what it says. I shall pass this way but once. Any good, therefore, that I can do, or any kindness that I can show to any human being, let me do it now. Let me not defer nor neglect it, for I shall pass this way once. So that's a good quote. What's that all about? There's opportunities to do good in life. And this is from a chapter, that quote's from a chapter where the lessons give sincere appreciation to people. And so there's opportunities to do that in life, to give people legitimate appreciation and to uplift other people and to help them and to encourage them. And those opportunities, when they present themselves, sometimes, a lot of times, there's a small window of opportunity, and you have to be willing to act right then and there. Let me do it now, for I will not pass this way again. I think that's what it says. For I shall not pass this way again. Yes. For example, you guys like examples. If you're at the grocery store, you're walking down the aisle, you're looking at pastas, maybe you're trying to get a nice soup, and the patron across from you, they may drop something in the window. If you're in close proximity to help them, the window to help them is about 1 second before they start bending down to pick up the thing they dropped. So I think about this. I think about how, man, if you're lucky enough to notice opportunity in your day-to-day life, in your work, in your relationships, if you're lucky enough to notice these opportunities to help, uplift, encourage, man, do it. Just do it. Do not hesitate and just do it. You know, I think about this all the time when I'm working at my job with sales, when I'm out knocking. You know, if I see somebody outside, if I'm planning on knocking on a door and I see that the person just pulled in, that's the opportunity right there. Do it. Approach them. Engage them. Make them feel safe. Start leading them into the conversation you want to have about the product or service that you provide. You know, do that. You're not going to pass that way again. You get this one opportunity. I love this quote so much because it kind of pulls you into the moment. It makes you realize that opportunities don't last forever. They just don't. That's why they're opportunities. So that's a good quote. I do like that quote. All right. Drink more of the Miller. And I do like Miller Lite. Some people hate on it, but people hate on anything these days. People hate on candles. Someone told me recently, they were like, candles are bad for you. I was like, what? And apparently something with the incense being in a whatever. All right, and let's get into this question. This is a good question. What's the difference between a hobby and a passion? What do you guys think? Comment down below. Tell me what you think. I'll tell you the difference between a hobby and a passion. I was out at this Mexican restaurant with an old coworker. We were getting lunch. The sun was beaming through the window. There was little mariachi music playing in the background. I was crunching on a tortilla chip with salsa, sipping on a water, just to kind of paint the image for you of where we were, the setting. And I start telling this guy, we start getting into kind of music and creative things and podcasting. And I made this distinction between music and doing a podcast. Music, I view as a hobby. The podcasting thing feels more like a passion. And I've started thinking about what makes one the other and vice versa. I think a hobby and a passion, I think the difference is the degree to which it gives you purpose, but also the degree to which it positively influences and impacts and helps other people. So music I view as a hobby. I find music fun to do. I find it personally fun to do. I think it's a better use of my brain power than, passively watching a movie or zoning out and playing a video game. I find that it's just a better use of my mind to create music. But it's a hobby, and I'm not passionate about music. I really have no desire to make it with music. Like I actually think if I had any sort of real fan base, it would ruin it for me, and I would never do it ever again. So I don't want to really make it with music. I'm not passionate enough about it for that to be like my end-all be-all. But the podcast I'm very passionate about. Now, what's the difference? I think it really comes down to how much value it has to other people and how impactful it can be to other people. So with music, I don't think I'm going to really impact people that much. I'm not going to really change them by making a cool song. Yeah, it would be cool to make a song that like blows up and to have people listening to it. But what good is that going to do for their life? For 2 minutes, they might be entertained. But what is the long-term value? It's not much. It's a song. In one ear, out the other. It's music. However, the podcast. What value can this have in someone else's life? It's pretty high. I can affect people. I can change the way they view the world. I can change the way they perceive their surroundings. I can encourage and motivate and inspire and influence somebody to become a better version of themselves. That to me is worth passion. That to me gives me deep purpose that I can put myself behind because it matters on a deeper level. Excuse me. Sorry. Dang, I had 2 donuts today from Krispy Kreme. That's crazy. So that's the difference right there. I mean, a hobby's like quilting in your free time. A passion is like, being a public, motivational speaker. Passion's like, an altruistic service cause to, raise resources to poverty-stricken areas. Passion's something different. So yeah, that's the distinction between those two. Well, feeling like we did it. We did do a key, a rule, a quote, and a question. A question, quote, or key to help you see. So take these keys and run with them for life.